Sunday night on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, it's our post-game show, special edition of Football 24/7 with NFL insider John McMullen, who's logging a long day and a long night down in Atlanta. But when it's a good Eagle win, it makes it a little bit easier to log that amount of time, Johnny Mac, that you spent from early today until late into the night. A lot of ground to cover with you, and then the extended edition of Football 24/7. Johnny Mac, Jeff Kerr will be along, and Dan Cilio will join us as well. Cilio, of course, host of the National Football Show. Jeff Kerr will be sitting in for you tomorrow on Birds 365. And we begin handing it off to you, John, to get some initial thoughts. Your first question in the press conference to Nick Sirianni is a great way to begin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it could have went better for Nick Sirianni in his NFL debut as a head coach. So I asked him, how could it have went better? I guess you could have shut them out. I guess you could have won 32-0. But I don't know many people who saw this coming. Most people did pick the Eagles to win the game. I was not one of them. I thought Atlanta was a bad football team. I just didn't like the spot, as I explained. But most people had the Eagles winning, had them winning by a one score, which is a typical late sort of NFL game. One play can turn it either way. And they just dominated. I mean, they struggled at the outset of the game a little bit defensively, especially defending the run. But once Atlanta wasn't able to capitalize on their red zone opportunities and the Eagles got a little bit of a lead, it was over. I mean, there was nothing Atlanta could do once the running game was taken off the table. And look, I mean, this team didn't score 30 points all last year. There were two teams in the NFL who didn't score 30 points. It was the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Jets, who were hapless to a degree with Adam Gase. And Nick Sirianni's first coaching opportunity, he gets over 30 points, and he makes Jalen Hurts look like a world beater. Now, I want to give, it's always about the talent. So I want to give Jalen Hurts credit as well. I mean, he was tremendous. We talked about his accuracy, his completion percentage, really bad last season in a short sample size. Well, today he's at 77%. So what's the difference? Well, the difference is you're getting the football out of his hands. A lot of them are short throws. You saw the bubble screens. You saw the RPOs, one read throws, and 52% turns into 77%. No turnovers, 126, over 126 passer rating. And then, oh, by the way, 62 more yards on the ground, and he averaged almost 9 yards a carry. I mean, it was pretty impressive from the quarterback.
And by the way, you can also add into that, Johnny Mac, a 2-minute drive to end the half where they took possession of the football, I think somewhere around 1:45 on the clock, and that resulting in a touchdown. So a drive to the end zone and then a conversion with a touchdown going into halftime.
Yeah, and I joke. I don't know. You guys probably saw it better than me. To a lot of us, it didn't look like Dallas Goedert caught that football. It might have hit the turf, but it's one of those deals where it's a 1:00 game. You don't have the cameras all over the place like you do Sunday Night Football. It's going on right now. Maybe if you had a different angle, they would have overturned that. But hey, you take advantage of a situation, and the Eagles were able to do that. And from that point forward, Atlanta was really, really up against it. But, I look at Arthur Smith, and this is a perfect example. I mean, the Eagles went through with Doug Peterson. If the Eagles had their druthers, they probably would have hired Arthur Smith, as would everybody. He was the hot candidate on the market in this sort of coaching cycle. but they got a late start because they fired Doug Peterson late in the process. They did interview Arthur Smith, but he was already pretty much a done deal with Atlanta by that point, and he was just doing the Eagles a favor. Um, and look what happens. It's pretty amazing. And as I said on the post game show with Derek and Mark and Devin, I don't know. You guys tell me. How could it have gone better? You got to really nitpick to find things wrong with this game. The fourth down conversions. Yeah, you'd like to convert them, but I mean, it was pretty good. And if you're expecting more than this, I don't know what you're expecting.
Yeah, it's almost the opposite as we come to you tonight across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. And we begin our coverage tonight, of course, as always, with NFL insider John McMullen. It's almost difficult to find something wrong or which positive moment in the game do we talk about, or which achievement do we talk about? Kenny Gainwell, for example, had a great game, got into the end zone with a touchdown. Nick Sirianni made a lot of adjustments during the game, especially first half into second half. And we go back to leading into this game, John, there was all this discussion about that one word you were using. And by the way, you weren't the only one using the word. And it was accurate, uncertainty. The uncertainty of how Jalen Hurts was going to play, the uncertainty of how head coach Nick Sirianni was going to coach in his first game. So the verdict is in based on today. What are your thoughts about that?
It is, for one day, for 60 minutes, it's as good as you get. But Nick was, very honest. I've talked about this a lot throughout the summer. And he thought that he had a competitive advantage by not showing anything in the preseason. Turns out he was absolutely correct. Now, we knew, and I told you throughout, JAKIB Media Network on numerous shows and numerous times, I told you it was going to be RPO heavy. You saw it. It was RPO heavy. That's what they were doing in practice. That's what they were waiting to sort of unfurl on the league. And they did it. And now, as you're done, and Jalen Hurts said it's still the 24-hour rule. You enjoy the win, and then you move on and get back to work. Now it becomes more difficult because now it's on film. And now people are going to understand. And I mean, to simplify this, to do this for football, football for dummies, however you want to call it, they're bringing a college offense to the pro level. That's what they're doing. Similar to Chip Kelly, but a little bit more advanced to what the colleges are doing now with all the RPOs and all the tempo. That's what they're doing because that's what the quarterback can do. And it worked brilliantly today.
Head coach Nick Sirianni playing or coaching to the strength of the talent of the players that he has or that were on the field, including Devontae Smith in his battle against Kyle Pitts. And we talked about this with our short halftime update. Devontae Smith not only gets the touchdown, he gets the victory. He gets the V for victory over Kyle Pitts, who did not do well in his debut. He was scared. I don't want to say scared because I don't know that to be true, but he did not look sure of himself. Devontae Smith looked like he's been in the league for a while.
No, yeah, he didn't look sure of himself. And I mentioned that's kind of what the Eagles were leaning on a little bit, in the fact that it generally takes rookies a little bit of time to get up to speed. And Devontae had a good game. A lot of that had to do with the fact that, the Eagles were just better than the Falcons. They're more talented than the Falcons. So a lot of people had good games. I mean, Jalen Reagor caught all 6 of his targets. Now, again, it's only 49 yards. You can see what we're saying, the short throws, but you saw the bubble screens again and again. They started the game with Quez Watkins, 3 straight. They started with the bubble screen. These simple throws that get you in a rhythm as a quarterback, and then you put it in the hands of your playmakers. And you saw it with Jalen Reagor's touchdown. He gets one block from Jordan Mailata, and bang, he's gone. That's what the Eagles are kind of doing. Now, again, it'll get more difficult because teams it'll start, San Francisco. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but they're a much better team than Atlanta. And they'll have a better plan. And, Kyle Shanahan is regarded as one of the better coaches in this league. Now they lost Robert Saleh, but they're a good football team, and that'll be a big test. And I think we'll have a better feel for what the Eagles are after San Francisco comes to Philadelphia next week. Because, you kind of say, okay, were the Eagles that good or are the Falcons that bad? I can't answer that question right now. Could be both. Could be one. Could be the other. I do know the Falcons are pretty bad from watching them today. It's a combination. Now you want to see the Eagles against better competition to kind of gauge where they really are. And I think that starts next week.
John, what was the breakdown offensively, pass to run or run to pass?
Jalen threw it 35 times. So you take the running backs. Let me look at up. Miles had 15 carries. Kenny Gainwell had 9, and Hurts himself had 7. So you're at 31. But again, it's pretty balanced. But that's overrated in the modern NFL. It was balanced because the Eagles had a big lead in the end, and you start to run the football a little bit more. You saw at the start what was it? It was pass, pass, pass. That's what the modern NFL is. I say it all the time. In the old days, you used to run to set up the pass. Now you pass to set up the run. So you pass to get a lead. So you have a 2 touchdown lead in the second half, and then you can run a little bit more. And I think those, when you talk about numbers of passes versus numbers of rushes, that is strictly determined on where you are in the football game. If you're down 2 touchdowns, you're going to throw it a lot more than you run it. That's just how it works.
Just a curiosity question, John. Boston Scott did not touch the field today. Was there any particular reason why, or he just wasn't getting in?
The reason why is because Kenny Gainwell sees that job at the end of training camp. That was going to be Boston Scott's job, to be the third down back, the hurry up back. And then they sort of tested, and you remember this from me talking on the shows with you, they started to test Kenny Gainwell. Okay, where is he? Is he ready to go? Can he fill this role for us? Because ultimately, that's where they were going. It's just a matter of how quick were they going to get there. There was really the Jets practices where they said, okay, he's ready. He's ready to handle that role, or they felt he was ready to handle that role. And he certainly looked ready to handle the role today. Again, bad competition. You put that into the equation, and we'll see how he does moving forward. Boston did play a little bit, mainly on special teams, but yeah, obviously he didn't touch it offensively, and that's what people are going to pay attention to. And right now, he's the third back behind Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell, so he's not going to touch it a lot unless one of those two guys aren't playing.
It's the Post-Postgame show, a special edition of Football 24/7 with John McMullen across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, and a shout out to all of our viewers and subscribers who have been on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, starting with the post-game show with Derek Gunn, Mark Farzetta, Devin Caney, Lane Johnson joined the post-game show, and of course John McMullen joined following his work within the press conferences. Jalen Hurts, of course, spoke at the press conference. He was as even-tempered at the press conference as he was in the huddle. What did you learn from Jalen in the postgame, John?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen's always the same guy. If they would have lost 32-6, he would have been the same guy. And that's one of the things that's always impressive about him is that, and he said, it's 24-hour rule. And I think he learned that from Nick Saban, really going back to Alabama, because, if you think about the rat poison comment, and I think a lot of people think that involves just negative stuff. But Nick Saban teaches his kids, because they always win, the positive stuff can be just as bad, because you start listening to all the people patting you on the back, so to speak, and the people pumping you up, and you start to believe it. So he says, don't listen to the rat poison, negative or positive. Just focus on what you have to do. And I think Jalen has taken that to heart. And, he's the first guy to say, great win. Great job from his teammates. He's always willing to talk about his teammates more than himself. But 24 hours and you turn the page and it's on to San Francisco.
But for the next 24 hours, and for the fan base, for the rest of the week, we can enjoy, we can celebrate, we can feel good about Jalen Hurts, right?
Yeah, I mean, you should feel good. There was this crazy stat that there are only 3 people in the history of the game that have thrown for 250 or more yards, had 70% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and ran for over 60 yards. 3 players in the history of this game have done what Jalen Hurts did today. So it tells you the uniqueness of the player himself. And some of the numbers, when he's sort of clicking on all cylinders, it can be. And he's a problem. So now it becomes, how do defenses adjust? Because Miles Sanders, said something interesting today, and he said everything in this offense starts with a running play. Every single play starts with a running play. And it's an RPO from there. So Jalen gets the run pass option, surveys the defense, and Nick Sirianni talked about it as well. He likes to give his quarterbacks options, but what he wants to do is make sure the ball gets out of his hand quickly, because this is still not a quarterback you want to take a 7-step drop and pass from the pocket 40 times. That's not his strength. And Nick Sirianni realizes that and is taking advantage of his strengths.
Last thing on Jalen, and then I want to ask you just about the defense, which we talked about on our halftime hit. There was a part on that 2-minute drive where they pointed out on the network broadcast today that Jalen was motioning to the sideline, or motioning over towards head coach Nick Sirianni to get everybody up to the line. I think it may have been a 3rd and short to get everybody up into the line. And Nick didn't do that. Nick pulled back. They ended up huddling up and then picking up the first down. But from your assessment, John, head coach Nick Sirianni, and perhaps that was part of your first question. Nick may have addressed it in your first question. head coach Nick Sirianni and starting quarterback Jalen Hurts enjoyed a real cohesive, collaborative during the game today.
Yeah, and I think the best part for Nick is, this is the best kind of game for a coach in that, you blow the team out. It's a laugher. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have anxiety in the fourth quarter, but there's still stuff to clean up and there's still stuff to point out to. One of the things from Nick's perspective, I thought they were a little late getting the play call in a few times, especially early in the game. And then, as I said, if you want to nitpick with Jalen, he still flushes right a little bit too much instead of climbing the pocket at some chances. But as I was telling, Derek and Mark and Devin, you really got to nitpick if you want to find. There is no perfect game in the NFL, so you're always going to find problems. But that's what coaches do. I mean, that's brilliant. You get the win, and you still have stuff to say. We got to correct this. We got to correct this, and obviously the penalties probably first and foremost. But I mean, they were calling penalties against both. They were just flags all over the place.
Last thing from John McMullen, and then I also want to get from you your game ball selection for week one as the first place Philadelphia Eagles win at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The Redskins lose, the Giants lose, the Cowboys lost on Thursday, and the Eagles are now 1-0. In that opening drive, really, is when it started. And we talked about this, Johnny Mac, at halftime. The Falcons were moving the football. Now, they couldn't get it into the end zone. That's always been an issue for them when they get inside the red zone, or at least more times than not. But they were running the football in that first half so much that we talked about it as a concern when we met at halftime.
Yeah, it was a concern at halftime, and then as Atlanta started to fall behind, the running game couldn't be as important. But yeah, I mean that's one part where I said just put an asterisk there, as something to keep an eye on, and especially this week because I don't think there is a more advanced running game in the NFL than what Kyle Shanahan runs in San Francisco. So this is a great test. They have a really good offensive line. And as I said, they probably have the most in-depth, complicated running scheme in the NFL. And it's been that way for a long time. I am concerned if Eric Wilson can hold up as a middle linebacker in this league when it comes to run support, not pass coverage, when it comes to run support. And then I was surprised, as I said, how much John Gannon kind of rotated the linebackers a little bit. So I still think that's a work in progress. But, we're talking about the offense because they played so well and rightfully so. But, I mean, the defense didn't give up a touchdown, and they ended up giving up 260 yards. Guess what? If they finish this season giving up 260 yards a game, that's the number one ranked defense in the NFL. If they give up 6 points a game, that's the number one ranked defense in the NFL. So it's not like they didn't play well over 60 minutes.
What's the sack total, John, today?
I have to look. They got a lot of sacks late. I know Javon had 2 sacks late. So when you got to pin your ears back, they did a better job.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get as much pass rush as I thought they'd get in the first half. But again, that's what you wear down the other team. You get the lead. That's how it works. So, yeah, Javon had 2, and they had a third, which was Hassan Ridgeway, which is interesting because those are the 2 interior rushers besides Fletcher Cox. And those were the guys who got home. You talk about hurries. And Hargrave had 3, Ridgeway had 3. So again, those guys in the middle, and then it was Barnett, Brandon Graham, and Jannard Avery had 1 each. So they made Matt Ryan uncomfortable. But stats are one of those. Sacks are one of those stats that's a little bit overrated. It's more about making the quarterback uncomfortable, and they certainly did that.
Football 24/7 insider John McMullen across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. It's our post-game show. We'll end our segment with John McMullen as he awards his selection for the Game 1 game ball. And if I had a drum roll, Johnny Mac, I would play that drum roll. Who will you select as your winner of your game ball tonight?
I want to give it to Aaron C. but I can't. I can't give it. The punter was great. He had 4 punts. 3 of them were inside the 20, and then he boomed about a 54-yarder to back up Atlanta about the 24. He just had the Falcons looking at long fields, but you can't give it to a punter. I just explained to you 3 people in the history of the game did what Jalen Hurts has done today. So Jalen Hurts is an easy pick for the game ball.
Well, I think you'll make a lot of our viewers happy, Johnny Mac, that you selected Jalen Hurts. The Eagles are 1-0 to begin the 2021 season. Johnny Mac, Jeff Kerr, who's sitting in for you on Birds 365 tomorrow because it's a travel day for you. Perhaps you'll check in with Jody Mac and Jeff Kerr in the morning, and you'll get some rest tonight. Well done. Great stuff. Great work by you across the JAKIB Media YouTube network. And a shout out to a couple of viewers, Johnny Mac, and subscribers of the JAKIB Media YouTube channel who gave you a couple of shout outs at the stadium. I was so excited to see you put that out on Twitter.
Yeah, it's always a tenuous moment when a fan comes up to you and says, because you never know if they want to yell at you or say they love you. These particular fans loved it. So that was nice to hear.
All right, good stuff, Johnny Mac. We'll let you drop off. This is the post-game show, a special edition of Football 24/7. We'll take a commercial break. On the other side of the break, Jeff Kerr will be along from CBS Sports. He'll join us. We'll get an interesting take from Jeff Kerr on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe. Back in a moment.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go for the view that goes on forever. Go for the bubbles in your bathtub and in your drink. Go to bed whenever you want. Or don't. Go for him. Go for her. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
The glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this, and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Yeah, okay, but is the rip...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. 1 free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
The live post-game show is powered by IBEW Local 98.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Back here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, this is the Post-Postgame show, special edition of Football 24/7, wrapping it up in our first 25 minutes with NFL insider John McMullen, who was down at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And, of course, Jeff Kerr now from CBS Sports will join us. Jeff will also be in for John McMullen on Birds 365 tomorrow. So they'll cover a lot of ground. Jody Mack and Jeff Kerr will cover a lot of ground tomorrow as well. Jeff, in our next 20 minutes, we're going to cover as much ground as we can in terms of getting a good perspective from you. I don't know if you happened to be on or sitting in the back studio when John McMullen awarded his game ball, but he did put it out there, and he did get to awarding that game ball to QB1, the starting quarterback of this Philadelphia football team, Jalen Hurts, who had one hell of a football game today for the first place Philadelphia Eagles.
I did see John wanted to give it to Aaron Sippis, which, again, I could see why. But on a day like where Jalen Hurts basically set even more NFL records or is etching his name up the record books as we speak, how can you not give him the ball today? And I got to give a game ball to Hassan Ridgeway, too. He was an absolute monster today. Him and Javon Hargrave, they took advantage of what I told Jody on Wednesday, that the Eagles' defensive tackles were going to have to get the Matt Ryan because the Falcons' offensive interior, they just weren't good. The interior of the offensive line, I thought that was a mismatch, and I was on an Atlanta radio station later in the week, and they felt the same thing, and lo and behold, in the second half, it showed.
Jeff, let me get your assessment of head coach Nick Sirianni. He coached his first game professionally in a real setting when it counts. Today it counted. Nick Sirianni coached his first game, obviously. What did you think? What are your thoughts about how good of a job Nick did? They won the football game 32-6. So you would say, hey, he must have did a pretty good job. But what does that mean?
Well, when I only have to criticize a coach for probably one or two things in his debut, that's probably a really good thing because Chip Kelly, I could name about 20 things wrong, and he won the football game. Nick Sirianni, the only really debatable thing he did was going for it on the 4th and 2, which I didn't mind, but he had Kenny Gainwell in. And I get why he had Kenny Gainwell in, but I thought in that situation, you have Miles Sanders in there, you let him get that first down for you. So he's a more experienced back, and he ended up doing that later in the football game, and then Gainwell ended up scoring a touchdown later in the drive. So, yeah, Nick Sirianni, he made all the adjustments he needed to make. Same with Jonathan Gannon. Gannon was trying things in and out in that on those first two possessions to get the right 11 guys on the football field to slow down that Falcons running attack, which was pretty much non-existent. So overall, the coaching staff, I got to give an A+ to. I didn't give the Eagles an A+ grade, which is because they have 14 penalties for CBS. But I got to give the coaching staff a lot of credit here. Nick Sirianni, it felt like he pulled all the stops he needed to pull today and did whatever he needed to do to make sure the Eagles put up 30 points for the first time in 2 years.
I'm not sure you would be able to grade anybody on the offense lower than that. If you start with Jalen, or if you go to Miles Sanders, 74 yards rushing, another 39 yards receiving, some big runs from Miles Sanders. Kenny Gainwell, as you mentioned, with a touchdown, played really well. Was in every snap in that last 2 minute or in the 2-minute drive going into the half, which resulted in a touchdown. So the offensive line played well. I don't think Jalen was sacked at all today. Jason Kelsey made a couple of big blocks. Jordan Mailata made a crushing block. So across the board, and then Devontae Smith with a touchdown. Pretty impressive, Jeff.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts was sacked once.
Okay.
He was hit once and sacked once. I think he was only pressured like 2 or 3 times the entire game. So again, that's pretty good. I mean, and I think Grady Jarrett had 2 of them. But yeah, you're right, Joe. Like overall, it's really, besides the penalties, I don't see what else you have a problem with on that offensive line today. I mean, like you said, Jordan Mailata had that huge block on the Jalen Reagor touchdown. Jason Kelsey, I thought, had a phenomenal game for a guy who started his 107th consecutive game today. And I said before the game, I tweeted out, I was really excited to see Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, and Lane Johnson play together for the first time since Week 17 of the 2019 season. And the Eagles scored 30 points for the first time since Week 17 of the 2019 season. So it ended up working out pretty well for them. And again, I thought they were dominant up front. I thought Jalen Hurts had plenty of time to go through his progressions. They could run the ball like crazy today. They had 173 yards rushing, 5.6 yards per carry. That's one thing I want to say about Nick Sirianni, too. I loved how when he got the lead, where it was 15-6, 22-6, he continued to pound the football. He didn't need to go for the jugular, go for the big play. I mean, he knows this isn't the Kansas City Chiefs here. The Eagles have what they have. And he utilized all these guys to their strengths. Like I really liked how kind of Gainwell ran the ball in the second half. Miles Sanders, he factored in a lot. He got his touches. And when the Eagles needed a big third down throw, Jalen Hurts was able to make it to Devonta Smith, to Zach Ertz, to Dallas Goedert, whoever in this game. And that's one thing I really liked about this football team. They ended up bouncing out the time of possession, Joe. As you remember, I think it was the first quarter, the Eagles only had the ball for 4 minutes, and the Falcons had it for 11 minutes. The Eagles won the time of possession battle.
Special edition of the Post-Postgame show on this Sunday night across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. It's a special edition of Football 24/7. John McMullen kicked it off. We're talking with Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports. Jeff will be in the chair with Jody Mack tomorrow morning on Birds 365. Still to come, somewhere around 10:23 tonight. Dan Sileo, host of the National Football Show, will join us as well tonight as we cover a lot of ground tonight. Jeff, one of your favorite players, Devontae Smith. Big day for Devontae. Got that touchdown, I think 6 of 8. At one point in the second half, Jalen went to him 4 times in a row. Went bang, 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 right back to Devontae Smith. Boy, I thought he played like he's been in the league for a little while.
He kind of looked like Deshaun Jackson when Deshaun Jackson entered the league in 2008. It was Donovan McNabb went to him right away and never stopped. And I thought it was kind of ironic that Devontae Smith tied Deshaun Jackson's record for most receptions in the debut. And it seemed like whoever drafted the receiver in the top 10 had a pretty good day around the NFL because Jalen Waddle had a touchdown. Jamar Chase had a nice 50-yard touchdown. Devontae Smith had a touchdown. And, this is the first time in the common draft era that 3 wide receivers selected in the first round scored a touchdown. And lo and behold, I believe all 3 of those teams won. So they all made a difference for their football teams today. And Devonta Smith was definitely one of them because, that 3rd and 4 throw from Jalen Hurts, that is, I know where Devonta Smith is going to be. He beat his man, touchdown. I knew it as soon as Hurts threw it. And oh man, this is going to be a really good day for these two if they keep this up. And yeah, you're right, Joe. On that one drive, it was just boom, 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 3-4 consecutive plays. And next thing you know, for you gambling people out there, Devonta Smith over under 47.5 yards. He got that in the second quarter. So overall, I was really impressed with his day. I mean, he looked like the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, excellent route runner, found ways to get open against a bad secondary. It's not going to be this easy every week, but the Eagles are definitely making sure he gets his target share up. And if they keep setting him up like this, he's going to have around 5 receptions every game.
If you go back to the first possession for the Eagles, a couple of bubble screens to Quez Watkins, and then I really didn't see any more from Quez for most of the game or for the rest of the game. Reagor handled everything that was thrown to him. I thought he did a decent job on punt returns. in terms of at least handling the ball and making the right decision to catch the ball. So I thought he did a decent job there, and then the offense started to get the tight ends involved, and then it kind of shifted. And then that's all I really heard from Quez. Am I missing anything there in terms of Quez, Jalen, or Devontae?
Well, it seemed like, too, after those first couple of plays there, like you mentioned, it seemed like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was that third receiver in. It was Devonta Smith, Jalen Reagor, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. And you got to give Arcega-Whiteside a ton of credit here because he was an excellent block and wide receiver today, and he was great on special teams. I know he's a former second-round pick. That's not exactly what you pay the guy for, draft him that high, but he did his job today, and he really helped Jalen Reagor on a couple plays there. Devonta Smith, same thing, a couple running lanes, with Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell. I mean, that's really what it was, Joe. It wasn't more of Quez Watkins, he didn't deserve to be on the field. It was just that's how the Eagles decided to run 11 personnel. And I'm going to have to rewatch the game again, maybe tonight into tomorrow too. But yeah, it definitely looked like after that it was, okay, we're going to see more of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside blocking. And I did find this interesting, Joe. The Eagles ran, I think, 11 personnel, a heck of a lot more than they did 12 personnel. I think 11 personnel, it might have been like 56 to 60%, something like that by my notes here. So, I'll have to double check that. But we definitely saw a lot of 11 personnel. It looked a lot like the Colts offense last year.
Well, and it was interesting. It's interesting to follow that comment with our expectation that they were going to run more 12 personnel.
Yeah, we definitely thought so. It was Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, but I think what happened too was Zach Ertz had the hip injury there. Was it the hip injury? I forgot what they actually ruled him, but anyway, he was ruled.
It was a I think it was a hamstring, but he was shortly back out, right?
Yeah, he came back. So again, I think it was more of, okay, what are we going to do here now that we just have one tight end in? And I think they decided, okay, because they were running a lot of 12 personnel in the first half, and they kind of got abandoned it a little bit in the second half there. And I think that's what it was. And, Zach Ertz looks like he'll be fine. He came back in. So I think you're just going to see a mix and match, depending on the matchup each week. And this matchup seemed to favor, at least in the first half, you go 12. And then the second half, when they wanted to run the ball a little more and do the bubble screens and the quick passes, they went 11.
Jeff, let's switch to the other side of the football. Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports joining us here across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. It's our special edition, the Post-Postgame show of Football 24/7. NFL insider John McMullen kicked us off on this Sunday night. We'll be live every week during the season, and we'll do a post-game show and do a deeper dive into the game as it played out. And the big news tonight, of course, is John McMullen awarding Jalen Hurts his game ball. So excited for him to do that. Really didn't have a choice, even if he wanted to have a choice. He tried to have a choice, but he really didn't have a choice. And I'm just having fun with John McMullen. But defensive side of the football, opening half, had John McMullen on with our quick halftime report. The Falcons were moving the football. They moved the football on the opening drive. They couldn't get the football into the end zone. They got a couple of field goals out of it, but they were running against this defense to start the game. As a matter of fact, they took their first possession and took a 3-0 lead on their opening drive.
Yeah, and this is an interesting stat. I got to double check the exact numbers here, but I think it was 37 plays for 113 yards after those first two possessions. No points. And Matt Ryan got sacked. I think it was a total of, I got to remember the exact totals. I know he got sacked twice by Hargrave and once by Ridgeway. And he definitely got hit. He had 10 quarterback hits. He was hit 10 times. So overall, and the Falcons, here's an interesting stat for you, Joe. The Falcons had one play out after the first two possessions. They had one play in Eagles territory. Do you know what? Let's see if you can figure this out. Do you know what play it was? The one play they had in Eagles territory?
In what, the first half?
In the second half, they had one play in Eagles territory. You think you can remember it?
No.
Okay, so here's what it was: Matt Ryan intentional grounding. That was the play. That was their only play in Eagles territory the rest of the game. So
Eagles thought it was a fumble. Eagles thought it was a fumble, but because he had possession coming down, that was it.
Yeah, it should have been. Honestly, Joe, I thought it should have been a turnover myself. I thought there was no way they were going to rule that intentional grounding because it just looked like Matt Ryan got rid of the football when he was hit. And I'm like, okay, well, the Eagles will get a turnover at some point today. But yeah, overall, they just couldn't run the ball. It just seemed like after the first two possessions, the Eagles, and really the back-breaking play was Jalen Hurts throwing the touchdown pass to Dallas Goedert with 2 seconds left in the half. But it seems like the Falcons abandoned the run. And the only time they decided to run the ball was when it was 2nd and 20. They were down, I think it was, 22-6 or 29-6 in the fourth quarter, and then Matt Ryan throws the pick, and I'm like, what are they doing here? Like, now you run the ball, you decide to run the ball now. Very questionable coaching today by Arthur Smith. They just kind of abandoned the run there, and they allowed the Eagles to tee off on Matt Ryan, and you could sense this early in the second quarter. Like, Matt Ryan was getting a little bit of happy feet there. The Eagles were getting pressure on him, even though he was completing a couple passes.
Jeff, let me get your perspective on what the Eagles did on defense to shut down Kyle Pitts. We talked about leading into this game that it was going to be Devontae or Kyle, the two big draft picks. Kyle Pitts, from my position, watching the game on the network, looked like a deer in the headlights. He looked unsure of himself, at least in the first half. What did you see? Did you see something from the defensive side that forced that? Because I didn't think Kyle Pitts had a very good football game.
Yeah, I don't think he did either. Early on, he was making a couple catches there. He had a big third down catch early on in the game. I'm like, okay, Kyle Pitts is starting to get going here. But after that, he really didn't do much. He had 4 catches for 27 yards, and they really didn't go for much. And I was talking to Tony Gonzalez earlier this week, and he is a big fan of Kyle Pitts. And, we were talking about a lot of tight ends. And he said, I think the Eagles are getting Kyle Pitts at the right time because he's probably going to be unsure of himself. This is a hard position to learn in the NFL. You just don't come out here and light the world on fire. But he said toward the end of the season, I think he's going to be very dangerous. And he was right. The Eagles got him at the right time. He just looked like, he didn't know what route to break on. He didn't know where he had to go in certain places, had a couple missed blocks. And he isn't really that great blocker anyway. He's more a receiver playing tight end. But I digress. And yeah, you're right, Joe. I did not think he had a good game. I don't think anyone on that Falcons offense really had a good game. Calvin Ridley was shut down. Kyle Pitts, whoever the Eagles put on him, that they shut him down. Sometimes it was Steve Nelson. I thought K'Von Wallace did a really good job on him. Overall, he was just ineffective because the defensive line just, they got the Matt Ryan within 2 seconds, and you just can't make plays when you got defenders in your face.
How about Darius Slay? How did you assess Darius Slay's performance today? I guess when you hold the team to a couple of field goals, everybody on defense gets the nod for having a good game as well, but maybe that isn't always the case. What did you think of Darius Slay today?
So I got criticized by a couple podcasts last year because I said I thought Darius Slay had a good year last year, but I said not for the $16.6 million the Eagles were paying him. He was not big play Slay last year. He was big play Slay today. He made a couple big plays on, the Calvin Ridley drop. I think, he was ready to either A, pick that off, or B, just rock Ridley, because Ridley, it felt like he had the deer in the headlights look there, or he felt Darius Slay's footsteps coming. That was one play. The third down pass breakup, which honestly, I thought he could have had a chance for a pick six there, but, he got his hand in there. And again, that's what Darius Slay does. And those are two plays that really stood out to me. And again, I thought the Eagles got big play Slay today. I thought he had a really good game for them. And, last year in games like that, I felt, whether it was DK Metcalf or Devontae Adams or whoever, it seemed like they made a big catch or two off him. You didn't see that today. And, maybe that's the defense coordinator. Maybe it's the new defense. I don't know. Maybe it's because they have a better cornerback opposite him and a better guy in the slot. But overall, I thought Darius Slay had a really good game today.
Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports joining us across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. It's our post-game show, our first of 17. And we thank all of our viewers for tuning in here tonight. Don't forget to like, share, or subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe to the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Before I get out of here tonight, I'll update everyone on our big season ticket holder giveaway. 2 tickets for all 8 games. At the link, a season ticket winner. We'll give it away. More details in just a few moments before we say goodnight to you on this week one. Eagles, of course, as the Sunday night closes, Jeff, find themselves in first place, 1-0, with the 49ers coming into town. Go rapid fire on me, if you will. Take a minute or two to cover a couple of other observations, perhaps, that you had from the football game today. I know you'll obviously write about the game. You'll grade different players, the coaches and stuff on the game. What did we miss in our conversation, or what's something that you're going to talk about, Jeff, on CBSSports.com?
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe. I thought Josh Sweat, even though he didn't have a sack today, to my knowledge, he did really well against the run. Josh Sweat isn't the guy you would think, okay, he's a good run stopper, but he was today. He made a lot of good plays, had a lot of containment in his gap today. I was pretty happy with that. Jalen Hurts, I know we talked about how good of a game he had, but here's one for you. I thought Jalen Hurts did a really good job looking at all angles of the field. I think he only missed one receiver the entire game, and he didn't throw the ball. I can't remember if he took a sack or not, but Wes Watkins was open down the field for a long touchdown. I thought he was going to hit him, and you couldn't see on the TV, but on the all 22 you could. And I'm like, oh, Jalen, you missed one there, but that's okay. Again, not perfect. I thought Miles Sanders looked as fresh as he ever did. I could see why he barely played in the preseason. And I think Lane Johnson said best on the postgame show earlier tonight. Nick Sirianni got these guys ready to play, and that whole speech he had, him playing basketball and, all that. I actually think that got those guys fired up to play this game for him. Again, this was a must-win game for the Philadelphia Eagles today. They had to win this game. You got San Francisco, you got Dallas, you got Kansas City coming up. They are good football teams. They're explosive football teams. They're going to score some points. And if the Eagles defense plays near what they did on the last 10 possessions today, they're going to have a chance to win all of them. And, I know it's going to be really hard to beat Kansas City, but I told Jody this a couple weeks ago. If the Eagles went 2-4 the first 6 games, I would be really happy. I really think they have a shot to at least go 3-3 now.
Well, as John McMullen mentioned, and it's an obvious for NFL experts like John and like yourself, it's a point that's well taken. Sometimes we miss this. Now there's tape. Now there's film, albeit it's only one game, but the offense that head coach Nick Sirianni is going to run, as John quoted Miles Sanders saying, every play starts with the run. So now there's tape on what this offense is going to be. Now, will they make adjustments? Of course they will. But that's where this will start to get different than what this first game was moving forward. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I agree. And there's one thing I'm curious to see how Kyle Shanahan's going to prepare for this defense, because he likes to run the ball. And Brandon Ayuk did not have a catch today. I don't think he had a target. Deebo Samuel had the big game for the 49ers today. I'm really curious to see how the 49ers use Brandon Ayuk next week. I'm not sure Raheem Mostert's going to play. He left early again. That guy always seems to get hurt. But Elijah Williams showed up. He came out of nowhere for the 49ers. And, they still have Jermichael Hasty. They still have a bunch of running backs there. Their offensive line looked phenomenal. And again, they were kind of like the Eagles. They played a bad football team in the Detroit Lions, but they allowed 33 points to that bad football team in the Detroit Lions. So I'm curious to see what Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen got cooked up for that defense, who, by the way, D'Amico Ryans is the defensive coordinator now, former Eagles linebacker. So I'm curious to see what they got in store for him. And I'm curious to see what Kyle Shanahan got in that zone run for the Eagles. Eagles they're going to have to stop the run next week. And if not, Jimmy Garoppolo's got enough weapons to throw to. This 49ers team is going to be tough, but I think the Eagles will be fired up at home.
Well, we'll talk about it all week here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Jeff Kerr will be sitting in for the traveling John McMullen tomorrow morning on Birds 365 with Jody Mack. The Middle with Eitan Shander, Harry Mays, and Barrett Brooks. We'll get a lot of Barrett Brooks perspective beginning tomorrow on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. And then Dan Sileo from the National Football Show will be along as well. Jeff, before I let you go and transition into a commercial break, let me ask you the obvious. Who will you choose or select tonight for your game ball? There's a lot of good possibilities for a recipient to win the game ball. If I had the right or the choice to give the game ball, I'd give it to Jalen Hurts. But there's a lot of different, you can make a case for a lot of different players today on both sides of the football.
Well, Jalen Hurts completed over 70% of his passes. He ran for 60 yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns. In NFL history, I got to remember the stat. I don't have it on top of me. I'll remember it for tomorrow. But again, he threw for over 250 yards. Probably could have thrown for 300 again. Had an excellent game. Nick Sirianni used him great. I got to give it to Jalen Hurts. It's either him or Javon Hargrave, but I got to give it to Jalen Hurts. He played a phenomenal game, and he told me 2 weeks ago, you'll see. And I'm like, oh, I definitely will see because I'm a fan. So again, Jalen Hurts, the rent was due, and he paid it today.
All right, good stuff from Jeff Kerr of CBS Sports. Check him out right back here tomorrow with Jody Mack on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Jeff, I'll let you drop off. I'll say goodnight to you. Here's what I'm going to do, Xander. I'm going to take a short commercial break. So we'll go to a commercial break, and then we come back on the other side of the break. I want to give all of our subscribers and viewers an update on our season ticket holder giveaway, and also let you know who's going to be appearing tomorrow on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Short break. I'll come back, and then we'll be wrapped up in about 4 or 5 minutes. This is the Post-Postgame show across the JAKIB Media Network. Back in a moment.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go for the view that goes on forever. Go for the bubbles in your bathtub and in your drink. Go to bed whenever you want. Or don't. Go for him. Go for her. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Hi, my name's Joe Messa. I'm a lawyer, and I'm also a big football fan. I'm a 25-year Eagles season ticket holder, and there's a new post-game show in town. Welcome to the live post-game show with Derek Gunn, Mark Farzetta, Devin Caney, John McMullen, and the best right tackle in football, Lane Johnson.
Sunday night across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. By the way, if you missed any of the post-game show with Derek Gunn, Mark Farzetta, Devin Caney, Lane Johnson, and of course John McMullen, go back and watch it on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. We ran out of time here tonight and will not be able to bring Dan Sileo in from the National Football Show, but tune in right here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel tomorrow. The National Football Show airs Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. Tomorrow, Football Monday with Dan Sileo. Gary Cobb will join Dan Sileo, and then Howard Eskin will join with Dan Sileo as well. And both will have an interesting and a great perspective, I'm sure, on the Eagles' first victory of the 2021 season in a game where Jalen Hurts had 3 touchdowns, no picks, ran for 60-plus yards on the ground, commanded the offense, converted on a hurry-up offense, taking possession of the football with 1 minute and 43 seconds remaining in the first half, drove the length of the field, got a touchdown in the end zone. And so the story is now written from game number one. Now, we'll talk a lot about it tomorrow on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel and, of course, across the entire region. Okay, best way to end the show tonight is to tell everybody about our season ticket holder giveaway. And if you're just new to the channel, you must be a subscriber to qualify. We're giving away a pair of tickets, 2 tickets for every game on the schedule, on the 2021 schedule. So there's 8 home games at the link beginning next Sunday. On Friday night, which is the 17th of September, we'll do a special live broadcast right here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel beginning 7 o'clock. We'll hear from everybody. John McMullen, Barrett Brooks will be along. We'll hear from everybody leading into the game on Sunday. Call it our Football Friday, but the reason for the gathering is all for you, the viewers and the subscribers of the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, as we will give away 1 pair of season tickets. We'll have some other prizes throughout the Friday broadcast. And on Thursday, if you're from the Philadelphia region, get to a great sports bar in King of Prussia called Screwballs. Look it up tomorrow if you don't know where it is, and get there on Thursday night. 2-hour live show. It's our countdown to kickoff into Thursday night football. That Washington team against that New York Giant football team. They play Thursday night. We'll be live at Screwballs. We have additional pairs of tickets to give away for the game on Sunday. We're going to begin registering people for our trip to Las Vegas on the 24th of October when the Eagles go into Vegas to play the Raiders. That is an absolute must. That will be an incredible trip. We'll send 2 people to Vegas, and then we begin registering people for our bus trip down to Washington on January 2nd. So lots of good stuff. We're just getting started on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And on behalf of all of the viewers and all of those commenting on our channel on a daily basis, I thank you very much for being here. On behalf of John McMullen, on behalf of Jeff Kerr, Dan Cilio, who could not join us because we ran out of time, and our executive producer, Xander Krause. I'm Joe Krause. See you next time, everybody.